Welcome to Daily Magic, a cozy corner of the world where you're invited to rediscover and experience the abundant magic that dances through your life. This podcast is slow living wrapped in sparkles, self-love woven with inspiration, and mindfulness dipped in wonder. So brew up a cup of tea in your favorite mug. Settle into your comfiest chair and join me, Shaina Wexler, as we allow ourselves this respite to romanticize our lives and revel in daily magic. Hello, my beautiful friend. I am so happy that you are here with me today for this cozy episode. How are you feeling in this moment? In whatever you're doing, I encourage you to allow yourself some space to slow your pace and settle in. Do you have your comforting, nurturing cup of tea steeped and ready to sip? If you read the title of today's episode, I probably do not need to tell you what is in my mug as we share this episode together. If you have spent some time in this ultra cozy corner of the world before, or on my uplifting YouTube channel, you most likely know that drinking tea is a lifestyle for me, and that throwing tea parties is my natural habitat. You probably also know that of all of the amazing teas in the world and my extensive tea collection, that Darjeeling tea is my very favorite kind of tea any day, every day, year after year, without fail. It is the absolute best ever, always. And if this is your first time here with me and you didn't know any of that, well, welcome to you, my new friend, and now you do know it, which is all of the context that you need to slide with ease into today's episode, the magic of Darjeeling tea. I don't remember my first cup of Darjeeling, only that there certainly was one, and that it's been followed with thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands more. Memory is an interesting thing. My mind tends to be like a steel trap, holding vivid sensory memory and so very many of my life's events, important and otherwise. I also have always experienced record-shattering levels of joy, excitement, and outright obsession about food and beverage events. I can tell you with excruciating detail the events, circumstances, and experiences of tasting P.F. Chang's veggie lettuce wraps for the first time, the OG version, that is, and how I used to lay awake at night thinking about them and planning the next time that I would have saved up enough money and could coordinate transportation to go and get some more. There was the down-home chocolate cake from Wild Oats that my sister and I still lovingly refer to as Dunham-chuk-cook from reading the abbreviated label on the box one time. There was the dressing from the Mediterranean salad at Noodles & Company that I would spend years trying to intuit the recipe for. I see in great detail the origin story of my very first coveted sumo citrus that I now just have to share with any and every human who happens to stop by my house when they're in season. And this sharing of the sumo citrus experience comes complete with making the person smell the aroma of the rind upon the first tear into the peel. There were the many 5-pound bags of dry boba balls that I would order when I learned that I could create any and every boba beverage I had ever tasted or could dream up now in the comfort of my own home. Which, yes, once again, caused me to lay awake at night, wrapped in a feeling of squealy exhilaration as I imagined the extent of the possibilities. There's my intensely glimmering eyes when I'm describing the texture of a food, or the subtle hand gesture that I appropriated from Auntie Jill, used to describe the mouthfeel of a particular kind of tea. Yes, I have a storehouse full of striking memories of favorite foods, beverages, and my resulting enthusiasm with them throughout the years. Yet, as I close my eyes, concentrate, and try to trace and mentally weave my way back to my first sip of Darjeeling tea, I can't seem to find or access it. There's just this blurry, schmearish shape in that place. Perhaps this is so because Darjeeling wasn't always my favorite tea. That award first went to a cranberry-colored tin of Pete's loose-leaf black currant tea, the taste of candy in a cup. So, perhaps, somewhere along the path of my extensive tea exploration, I was ever so subtly merging my way towards a Darjeeling favoritism in an almost imperceptible manner. Strange that something whose genesis in my life I cannot even seem to recall could be the absolute most magical beverage I have ever encountered. Darjeeling's light, honey-colored liquid has this remarkable power of feeling new and exciting every single day, yet somehow also manages to hit every note of nostalgia and that sigh-inducing comfort of familiarity. My daily cup of Darjeeling isn't my first cup of tea for the day. No, it is my highlight tea, my tea time tea, my stop the world and breathe it in tea. I look forward to my cup of Darjeeling every single day, and every moment of preparing it is a ritual that I relish. From locating its long, slender, dark leaves in their jar, front and center in my tea cabinet, the tea location of honor, always comfortably in reach with no shuffling or searching required, to that first fragrant, delicately floral waft of aroma that I savor as I twist the lid off my jar full of treasure. From choosing an infuser large enough to give these mystical leaves the space they deserve to let their nectar free, to the use of the priceless tea scoop spoon gifted to me by my beloved late Grandma Booby, whose handle is engraved with the words, "One perfect cup of tea," which also bears a now rather mangled pink bow that she tied onto the handle before gifting it to me. That bow that I have never been able to bring myself to remove, knowing that each time I pick up this spoon, I am holding something that her precious hands once tied for me with care and overflowing love. Before scooping the tea into the infuser, I take another opportunity to dip my nose towards the Darjeeling leaves and breathe in deep. As a reflex, my body de-escalates any tension that it's been holding. These leaves smell like pure magic to me. They feel like a sincere hug from someone who truly knows me. I am brought into the observance of this sumptuous life moment, and I feel rich, The moment wraps around me and invites me into its center as I pour a flow of 195-degree Fahrenheit water over the infuser and into my favorite mug. These leaves, like me, are a bit more sensitive and delicate than most. They prefer not to be steeped in the harshness of boiling water. I watch as the amber color begins to flow like watercolor paint from the holes of the infuser. As 4 minutes tick down on the tea timer, my preferred steep time for these leaves, I revel in the pause and use it to open my body a bit, have a conversation with Etoile, and take a few deep, uninhibited breaths. Once the tea leaves have been removed, it's time for the trickiest part of this Darjeeling routine, the balancing act. Arriving at that perfect mingling of natural flavor from the Darjeeling, the hint of sweetness from an approximate 1/6 of a teaspoon of raw sugar to enhance but never overpower, and then, of course, the all-important, never not precarious dismount of tipping the milk bottle just enough to get the proper splash of milk to curb astringency without allowing the wrist to linger the 0.025 seconds too long that it takes to accidentally pour in too much milk and completely wash out the flowery, bright, citrus-like zing of this light brew tea, rendering the cup somewhat ruined. But oh, when I stick that landing, nothing in the world can describe the sensation of that first perfect sip. When I nail that balance, there's always an involuntary audible response that arises from me to laud the perfection of that sip. The perfect cup of Darjeeling tastes like harmony. It tastes like the assurance that everything is going to be okay. It tastes like dreams coming true. It tastes of pure magic. Darjeeling is said to be the champagne of teas, which is apt as I drink it in celebration. Celebration of life. Celebration of life being worth celebrating. Celebration of my own worthiness of moments so fine. Celebration of the little things that make our days rich. Maybe as you listened to this episode, it caused you to think about and tune into your experience with your favorite tea or beverage, or maybe it inspired you to try out a mug of Darjeeling for yourself, following my specifications with the most perfectly balanced cup, of course. And if so, you know that you need to report back to me about your Darjeeling experience, okay? I always love spending this time with you, my beautiful friend, and today I have a request for you. Would you please take this moment to think of the person in your life who you think would most appreciate this sparkly, positive, growth-minded piece of the audio world that is Daily Magic. And once you have them in your mind's eye, may you please immediately share a link to this podcast with them. Sharing this podcast with the people in your life is one of the most beautifully helpful things that you can do to support me in the growth of this podcast. So thank you. And If you're feeling extra helpful and want to go that extra mile, it would also be so very helpful if you would leave a 5-star review on Spotify, and if you would head over to Apple Music and leave Daily Magic a glowing review, please. Thank you so much, my beautiful friend, and thank you so much for choosing to devote the precious moments of your day to joining me here. I am wishing you a lovely week ahead and looking forward to being together again soon. In the meantime, be blessed, be light, and be the magic.